Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. It's actually a pleasure, as Valdi said, just to be here and share ideas. So you asked us yesterday, Nico, to be provocative to some extent. So I'm going to be provocative by being optimistic about Europe and about the European Union, if I may. I think we are buying too much into negative narratives around Europe, negative narratives that usually come from outside, but we're starting to also, to some extent, replicate them from the inside as well. And maybe in the hope that they can trigger this sort of Hamiltonian moment or crisis moments that will lead to action, which is usually the way that the European Union takes big leaps or big steps. But in the end, we're getting the worst of both ends. So we've been pessimistic and we're getting paralysis as well. So it's high time we change both elements, I think. So on the first element, on not being pessimistic, not buying into these negative narratives, I think if I can express it in one sentence, I would go to paraphrase Magritte, and I would say, l'Europe n'est pas une pipe, if you allow me to say, because I think, in a sense, we have to understand that Europe is not a static element, and it was actually very well said in the words of President Mattarella. Europe is a dynamic, a changing animal that will be whatever Europeans we want it to be. Europe is today the place to be, I would say. If we were not Europeans and we were just looking at the news on TV, we were wishing, I think, that we were actually in Europe, or we were Europeans in many dimensions and in many respects. So again, avoid this pessimism and in a sense, really thinking of how to make Europe make this change, make progress. Because as I said, we usually move, or we have big leaps when it comes to crisis. We did very well in terms of responding to COVID. We are doing well, I think, also in terms of responding to the defense crisis or to the security crisis. But because mainly these are easy binomial situations. Either we grow or we don't. Either we get our defense together or we don't. But the competitiveness issue is a very elusive concept. What is a competitiveness crisis? Are we in it? Is it a short-term, a medium-term, a long-term? So it's, to some extent, is the metaphor of the boiling frog. So we are in water that is actually getting higher and higher temperature. We're not even realizing that we're getting boiled, but we're getting there. There's no, it's very hard to instill this crisis feeling when it comes to competitiveness. So I think we have to change it into, first, a positive message, and one that is easy to understand, because it's not a black and white element. We're not waiting, and we should not be giving the impression that we are waiting to many things to happen in a few years' time so that people can actually make business in Europe. So my second message then is, Europe is open for business. And we will be doing as much as we can to make things easier and to make things more profitable for firms and better for European citizens also in social terms. So then we need to be practical. And I thank you for making the reference to the Competitiveness Lab, Enrico, because I think to some extent we need people, or firms, companies, citizens to see that some steps are being taken. No? I think it was Robert Schuman saying that Europe will be built through concrete achievements that will build de facto solidarity. And this is what we need. We need concrete steps. So let me outline, in order for the benefit of the discussion as well, 3 specific ideas on how to go ahead with this competitiveness agenda. So the first one would be to simplify the daily life of our companies. And this is very much in line with many of the arguments that Valdis just said. But again, this is a concept. So let's go to a specific proposal. So even if it can be seen as just a first step in this road, why don't we start by building straight away a single gateway for our companies in Europe? Single gateway that can be a way to break down linguistic, cultural, regulatory barriers on many fronts, particularly for SMEs who do not have usually the capacity to do it. And when they think about actually going abroad, Sometimes, maybe for a Spanish company, it's easier to think to make the jump to Latin America than to Bulgaria or Lithuania or Latvia. So we need to break those feelings and those sentiments, but actually building these single gateway. We have the technology. I think it's very clear that we have the political willingness to do so. Let's start by, for example, introducing pilots on this single gateway. Licensing, labeling, waste management, things that are easy for companies to understand and that can already be seen as concrete deliverables in their daily operation. That will lead gently, I would say, but steadily towards this 28th regime. Because in the end, what we want is mutual recognition, we want a harmonization, and we need to walk it, and we need to actually start by having concrete examples for our companies on how to operate it. Second idea that I would put on the table. So first one, simplify the daily life of our companies. The second one, increase their business opportunities in Europe. Then another specific proposal for this. We have to improve access to public procurement in all 27 member states for different EU companies. This is a 2 trillion market. Again, it's a huge potential, a huge opportunity, which is actually waiting for our companies to be grasped and to be fully achieved and fully benefited from. So again, we have the technology, real-time tender matching, also automated processes that can be done very quickly, and then that will immediately reduce fragmentation. It can also foster actually very good dynamics in terms of joint ventures between companies from different member states that can help them, again, achieve and tap into this 2 trillion market. Third idea, so first one, I repeat, simplify the daily life of our companies. Second one, increase their business opportunities in Europe. And the third one, enhance financing by having bigger access to finance and also easier or better conditions. Valdis was mentioning as well the efforts in terms of the capital markets union or savings and investment union. I think, again, these are very valid objectives that we can all share, but then let's walk these big categories and have ways for our companies to understand that this is coming. Specific proposals, we have within the Competitiveness Lab already specific proposals that we are taking together with willing member states. One is the label on Europe financing, so investment products that can be understood as mainly investing in European industrial projects, but then there's more to do. Another two specific proposals. So the first one is when we talk about our SMEs, there should be a way for banks, financial institutions to have a fast way of understanding the health, the financial health of a company. So we should be able to actually harmonize SME ratings throughout Europe. That's not that difficult. It's a methodological element so that whenever a company, an SME wants to get access to finance, if it's a Spanish one, wants to get access to finance in Germany, immediately German financial actors have an idea of what sort of company we're talking about because it can compare it with its own German companies. Again, that's an easy way to enlarge access of our companies to, in a very smooth way, have them start operating also cross-border. Another proposal within this element of enhancing financing would be to actually create a securitization platform, a genuinely EU securitization platform. We will enable cross-border pooling of loans. We will therefore increase access for smaller, medium firms as well to finance across the EU. So again, three specific concepts where we can already start by putting on the table specific proposals to go ahead. And Nico, you were mentioning deadlines. So I think we can very rapidly put deadlines on these proposals. I don't know, 6 months? Is that too much? 6 months, end of the Danish presidency, then the next 3 months we can already have those proposals in place. And this can, again, send a signal that things are moving within this big category of Europe being open for business while we deal with the rest of the competitiveness agenda. In a sense, is this element of oil stain effect. We keep on by practice of making progress on these specific examples, we keep on de facto integrating Europe. And again, we need the instruments to do it, and the Competitiveness Lab is an enabler. What we have is sort of a sandbox where European countries can actually engage together with the help and in combination with the European Commission. They can engage in these projects that will be for the benefit of everyone, and will be open for everyone to chip in as they would want to do it. You know, sometimes it is hard to reduce fragmentation from 27 to 1 in one go, but it doesn't mean that we cannot actually do it in several steps. So we need to understand that things have to get going, have to keep moving. And I will finish by just recalling the words from a Spanish poet, Antonio Machado, who said, "Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar." So I do a loosely translation to English, which would be, traveler, there is no road. You make your own path as you walk. This is what we want to do and what we should be doing and what we hope we will be doing also with the help of our companies. Thank you.